Okay there, friends. I'm going to talk about two things, as promised, collision detection and codesters. The story today, my autobiographical story, was my famous nuclear activist, anti-nuke weapon activist mom, who's 90 years old, needed to go downtown to appear at City Hall. That was Patrick and Quinn. This is Mount Tabor. I'm rolling forward in time in my Flickr, and I'm also joining up with a Codesters project or two. For example, let's get collision detection 2 going. This is one where I introduce the ability of Codesters to fire off a function at intervals of however many seconds. So down here at the bottom, I'm saying every 4 seconds, I want you to run a program called interval. And interval in turn runs a program called make2. So already that's kind of why bother to have a middleman? Why not just put make2 here, right? Why not just go like this? This should not change anything logic-wise, you would think. So this is the kind of thing we can show live, in class, and it should still work the same way. So what this does is it gets two sprites heading towards each other in a space where gravity is turned on and bouncing is enabled. So these two sprites will generally bounce and collide at some point, and they disappear when they collide. They don't actually touch because they're rectangular sort of electric fences around them. But this is the kind of thing we do in middle school now, because kids need to learn about event listeners and event-driven programming, all that good Java stuff, right? Not saying this is Java, but it's close enough. It's, whatever object-oriented programming, functional programming. Sometimes it's a hybrid these days, like Clojure, right? Between functional and object-oriented. They're not always as mutually exclusive as some people think, right? So we're rolling forward in time towards this afternoon when I was teaching just what I was showing you there, Codester stuff. We met this guy who travels the world, and that was looking through the lens of a telescope. That's looking through the eyepiece of a telescope. He travels North America, especially. This gentleman at the top of Mount Tabor there at the reservoir told us a lot about his life story. He's just always on the road and sharing telescopes. He's he has the air of one who's traveled a lot and seen a lot. So this is back at the Crowbar. This is kind of a home base for a lot of storytelling these days. We're in the middle of a supermarket. So this is one of those famed American living standard supermarkets. And I'm afraid I might be going backward in time. So I'm going to quick jump to the photo stream, get us out of the Crowbar here, and let's go backwards in time from the end of today, okay? Let's start with, okay, let's go back to the XO theme. This is kind of what I was talking about. Jerome just happened to have some leftover Halloween Cheetos or something. They're like bone-shaped cheese air things. And that skull and bones there, I think you'll recognize, was something I was looking at with regard to one laptop per child. And I did find an old article about that. Now, this guy who's writing the article maybe doesn't see the skull and bones aspect to it, but in my last video, I was demonstrating that there is kind of a connection and connecting it to a Russian website. And that's a good tie-off now. Mom, you see, is a famous, she's kind of like Ava Helen Pauling, right? Ava Helen Pauling was Linus Pauling's wife, and she was very much a peace activist, and she belonged to WILF just like Mom did. And what Mom did is she got a ride with the Thompsons and went downtown, and she was there at City Hall for this resolution that has her name on it, which has to do with supporting the nuclear ban treaty, which I agree there's a lot of literary aspect to it. I was trying to understand what Lavrov meant when he said um, that it was belletristic that we would end nuclear weapons. Belletristic. I had to go looking that up. I bet a lot of people did. It's like English, not everybody knows. But he was musing about a nuke free world and what that would look like. And that's something my mom, ever since the Hiroshima Nagasaki, she started an event here in Oregon, in Portland, commemorating that. And it's grown into this every year, this annual ceremony. And Physicians for Social Responsibility have taken on helping to organize it. It's become a pretty important event, and Carol had a lot to do with getting that started. But having grown up in the family and watched her in action, I know that she's done a lot more with her life in bringing about a better world and so on than just that nuclear activism that we're talking about. Oh, Linda Richards was there today too, and a lot of people from the meeting. So they didn't get her to actually stand up, and she couldn't. She forgot her glasses on the porch. She can't hear too well. So she was there, she was present, but it's not like she heard everything, right? So the XO, by the way, and the whole one laptop per child thing, we kind of say goodbye to it now. Like if you click on the news, there's something about OLPC news down here. Where is that? Where's the OLPC news? Because if you go there, you find out there really isn't any OLPC anymore, right? It ended. But all things must end. It's not like we're worried about it. Skull and crossbones. What's that link? So what I was looking for was the news. OLPC news, and I just was looking at the last few articles where they talk about shutting down, so that can't be reached. Let's try going to the news again. So one laptop per child, that was a big initiative, and it had its own laptop, a trademark laptop called one laptop per, well, called the XO. Here we go. Shutting down OLPC news, goodbye, one laptop per child. So this is like archived memories of a time not that long ago, really, when the XO was brand new in the world and has a lot of cool features. And I actually have one of these that still boots, I think. I've had two in my day, and there are a lot of pictures at my website. So let's not forget the XO. And it's part of our museum of what's out there, right? It's what's part. That's the box that came in. You could buy one, get one, buy one. You basically bought two, and one would go to a child in need, and you would get the other one, something like that. So they were pretty water resistant. You could swivel them around. So they had a lot of interesting features, and they could mesh together. In other words, make mesh communication networks, or at least that was the goal. That's what they were supposed to be able to do, and thereby relay emails. Like you could create a mesh network where there was no network. Suddenly there would be a network, kind of like BitTorrent and all those. All right, we'll talk to you soon. I hope that was elucidating.